Hello guys, this is Brian here with the update video and some news about the Spinal Cord Stimulator. Today is Saturday, September the 7th, 2019, so here's some updates and some news. The update is next month it will be a full year. October will be a full year since I had it implanted. The implant itself works perfectly fine. No hang-ups, really, no problems, except a little tiny problem when it comes to charging. Also, I want to say this because I experienced this in my family, and until I educated them, now they understand. They assumed that since I had a spinal cord stimulator, that I would never have to have a back injection ever again. That's not true. If you're thinking about getting a spinal cord stimulator, you need to realize it's not designed, and it will not take 100% of your pain away at 100% of the time. At the end of the day, you still have that back problem, back injury, what have you. And some days you still may require medication or injections still. With me, I do have a huge reduction in pain medicine. But even once in a while, I still have to take it. Because my back problem, which is a herniated disc, actually, one herniated disc is still there at the end of the day. So it's just not designed to take 100% of the pain 100% of the time away. So I did have a back injection done back in July. My pain was kind of going into my hips, and my back was really getting stiff. So it was time for an injection, because I think at that time in July, 8 to 9 months since implant. So that's something that you really need to think about if you get in the process of getting a spinal cord stimulator. It's just not going to eliminate pain 100%. It's just not. Now, some days it may, but it's just not going to do that 365 days of the year. And things like that. My goal with the stimulator was to have reduction in pain medicine and muscle relaxers. And so far, I do have a huge reduction. Am I taking pain medicine every single day of my life like I was before implantation? No. It's a reduction. And also, it's not designed if you have a new injury. It is not designed to cover that up. I mean, obviously, if you have a new back injury or hurt your back again, or, for instance, if you lift something extremely heavy up, you will experience that pain. Of course, you could turn your spinal cord stimulator up and help the pain. But when you do have when you experience increased pain, like from an injury, like you think you hurt your back from lifting something wrong or too heavy, you do need to go see a doctor, and don't ignore it. You think you have spinal cord stimulator, and you think you can ignore the problem that's persisting? No, you need to have it checked out. I mean, you could have, your issue could actually develop worst case scenario. I mean, for instance, if you have a herniated disc, it could become a bulging disc or blown disc, what have you. Or if you have a bulging disc and it turns into a herniated disc, you need to check it out. Just don't think a spinal cord stimulator is going to fix your back problem and any more other additional pain that you experience. You just ignore it. You can't. I mean, for instance, if you lift something up a little bit wrong or heavy and it hurts for a couple of days, up to a week, okay, yeah, you can ignore it. But if it's like a month that goes by to 2 months, yeah, you do need to go to see your pain management doctor, or you need to go back to a spine doctor to have it looked at. You just can't ignore it. I mean, just like if you had a pacemaker implanted and you had a lot of chest pain, you can't ignore it, you know what I'm saying? So far, like I said, it's working perfectly fine, except a little tiny problem, and I'll explain that in a second. And also, another thing when you are going, if you're in the process of getting a spinal cord stimulator, or if you have one already, don't be afraid to ask the technicians to make any kind of changes. I had them to make a little bit of change, a little tiny change back in July when I had my back injection done. Luckily, they were, luckily they were at the, my doctor's office is attached to the hospital. So luckily, before I had the injection done back in July, I stopped, went up to the doctor's office, and the Abbott guy was there because I had a lot of pain in my sciatica nerve pain in my right leg, and they tricked it and programmed it so I can feel much more relief on my right leg versus the left. Because majority is on the left. So it's working perfectly fine. My goal with the implant was just have reduction in pain medicine, and so far, because next month be a year, huge reduction. Now, does that mean I never take pain medicine again? No, that does mean a reduction, and sometimes I do have to take pain medicine maybe 3 times a week, maybe once a week, and they have gone periods of time no pain medicine for 2 to 3 weeks, at the very most, or muscle relaxers. While I was on prior to implantation, Tramadol and Flexeril or Xanaflex. I like Flexeril a little bit better. Flexeril helped me a little bit more than Xanaflex, because Xanaflex was a little bit lower dosage. And before Flexeril, I was off and on every once in a while, if I was really in bad shape, Soma. Soma, the doctor explained that Soma muscle relaxers, I don't know what the generic is of that. Soma muscle relaxers are more addictive, versus Flexeril, if I understood that correctly. In reality, any pain medicine or muscle relaxers are addictive. So, you have to be careful with that stuff. It's not something that you thumb your nose at and don't pay attention. A lot of people become addicted to pain medicine and muscle relaxers without even knowing. And also, I do believe sometimes the media hypes it up too much. But that'd be another video about that. So and everybody's goal is different with the spinal cord stimulator. I mean, you can have your goal could be reduce pain and reduce medication, or your goal is to save off a major surgery, because that was also my other goal, was to put off a major surgery, which is a lumbar fusion. A lumbar fusion, for me, since I'm overweight, and the type of lumbar fusion I had to have, they had to go through the stomach. So that is very big surgery. And if something goes wrong, that's something that they can't really undo. Once you have it done, you have it done. And if you can find a specialist who can undo a lumbar fusion, that's major back surgery, major. And people who have it done say it's hell. The recovery of it's freaking hell. So you can have different goals with the spinal cord stimulator. People who have back problems, back injuries, what the case may be. But I'm happy with the choice I made. I'm very happy with it. I'm glad I had it done. The only regret that I made was I didn't do it sooner when I was told about it. I brushed it off. The spine doctor was telling me about the stimulator, and because then, and I will tell you what the news is. And I'm kind of getting sidetracked. For those who haven't seen my videos before, early 2018, maybe. Yeah, I think it was early. It had to be early 2018 when I saw the spine doctor, and they were starting to talk about the spinal cord stimulator. Here in Texas, they're not the ones who do that. The pain management doctors are the other one who does the implantation. I'm pretty sure that's standard. You think it'd be the other way around, you know. But just like the spine doctor who is a neurosurgeon, they don't do injections either. It's a pain management doctor. But they were telling me, you know, ultimately, either you can have a spinal cord stimulator or a lumbar fusion. In my mindset, I wanted the problem fixed right then and there. None of this pussyfooting around, none of this dragging out treatment, and all that. You know, at the end of the day, you still have the disc is still herniated. At the end of the day, you still have no problems. You know, right then I told a guy, fix the damn thing, you know. And then he was telling me how serious and lumbar fusion is at my weight. Really, really. And the more off, you know, months went by, and the more I thought about that. And I had a family member who had a lumbar fusion done, and it's hell. It is absolutely hell. Because you gotta go through the stomach too. So hell, you sliced up in the back and the front. And not 100% guarantee that it will work. You know what I'm saying? I have one bulging disc and one herniated disc. I don't know what really the difference is. I think if I understand this correctly, I could be 100% wrong. I think the bulging disc is like stage 1. Then if it's herniated, it's a little bit more problematic. And then if it's like a burst or the disc slip, a disc that's burst or slipped, that's when you've got to have medical treatment right then and there. Slip disc. Like I said, I don't know what really the difference is between a bulging or a herniated disc. I think one is more serious than the other, I think. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. All I know is both problems hurt. So, like I said, my only regret is I didn't take it seriously. They told me about it beginning of 2018, and I didn't get nothing done until end of September to early October of 2018. So almost, you know, 9 months, you know. And in the way they kind of explained it, I thought this was more I really thought that the implant, the spinal cord stimulator, was more convoluted, complex, complicated. You know, it was more complicated. They made it sound more complicated than it really was, and it wasn't. And I thought, well, God, you know, insurance company's going to drag their feet on this, and boy, it's going to be months on end before I hear anything from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the doctor's office can take their time and all this, and really less than a couple weeks after they approved it. So don't have that mindset like I did. Don't brush it off, anything like that. You know, the pain management doctor kind of talked about it too. Because, you know, I asked him after the spine doctor, because the pain management doctor is the one who implants them. You know, I want his point of view. And when I went back, he said, I believe this will be a very good treatment option for you. You know, you just can't expect it. And you can't expect the doctor to tell you, oh, yeah, it's going to eliminate 100% of your pain. You never have pain for the rest of your life. No, that's not how it works. But like I said, I'm just rambling. Like I said, I'm perfectly happy with it. The only minute problem I have is when it's charging. It's when it's time to charge. I have the rechargeable implant, so therefore I do have to charge it up. You know, once to twice a week. I have gone about 2 to 3 times, at least 2.5 weeks out without charging. And around 2.5 weeks, around that time frame, depending on what setting you have it on, the battery's almost dead by that particular time. And it does take 4 to 6 hours to charge if you go that far along. You know, life got in the way. You know, sometimes people, I forget to charge up. But about 3 months ago, I have noticed that it was getting real, it had to be, the charging got sensitive, meaning I had to apply a little bit of pressure against the skin with the paddle to make it fully connect. Otherwise, it won't fully connect, and then it will do a weak charging, which means it will take forever and ever and ever to charge. And I noticed, because sometimes I was able to charge through shirts like this, because this is somewhat a thin shirt. But last 3 months, I've noticed off and on, it wouldn't go through the thin shirt like this, and I would have to apply directly to the skin, the pal, and put a little bit of pressure. Like, yeah, you know, I used a pillow, and had to be exactly on the dot where it has to be, fully connect, and it charged. But you have to sit there in the chair. I had to sit there in this kind of office chair or in the recliner for it to work right. I wore the belt a couple of different times, and it charged okay. But like I said, it got picky for the last 3 months off and on. So a couple of weeks ago, I texted the Abbott guy who I work with, and I told him about that problem. And he said, well, do you have a follow-up appointment with the doctor? I said, yeah, I do actually. It was last week, last Thursday, before Labor Day. And he texted me back and asked, well, did I have any prior back surgeries prior to this? And I said, yeah, I did. I had a laminectomy done on 1 or 2 discs in the area, pretty close to that implant, really. He said it may be scar tissue. Sometimes that happens. The scar tissue kind of, where if it forms around the incision, obviously, but if it kind of forms where it has to connect to charge the battery, that might interfere with it. That, sometimes that happens. Some people form lost scar tissue after surgery. Some people don't. Everybody's different. So I went to the pain management doctor last Thursday, and I told him about that problem because the Abbott guy was there. And I told him, it's not a big deal. It's not life-threatening. It's not end-of-the-world type of problem. It worked, nothing major. It didn't stop working completely. It just had to be, just put pressure on it to charge. And of course, if you have to sit there for, a couple hours, he kind of gets tiring. You can't move really. If you can't move a little bit in the chair, it got picky. It beep, 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 and it does weak charging. And the pain management doctor said, yeah, it could be scar tissue. And the pain management doctor said, well, there's 2 options available. We can go in there and open you up again and clean out the scar tissue, but that doesn't mean it can happen again. He also explained that what happens is the implant does not stay 100% in the exact same place. Meaning it kind of moves a little tiny bit, minute, just a little tiny bit. Not like a foot over or inch over, anything like that. It moves a little bit. Like a centimeter, I guess. Because if I looked at the implant right, because they had a little model on the countertop, the leads kind of come out of the top, and I think the battery's kind of on the back towards the bottom, maybe. I could be wrong, but and actually I took a picture of the implant with the little model of the spine. I'm going to see if I can attach it up. But the guy tested it, and the guy said the Abbott rep said the leads are okay. You don't have any problems with the leads. Because obviously I could feel the relief, obviously. But they were able to play with it on their computer. It's kind of cool. I don't know if I said this or not. There's a couple of different ways that they do both of me, I guess. They can play with the implant through their computer with their paddle. But when they program the controller, the battery pack, they take the battery pack out because it's not, I don't know if I should say a battery pack. It takes 4 AA batteries, but it's like a little connector block type of thing. And they take that off, and they hook it up to their computer, and that's how they actually program the controller. But they can, when they do that, they can also play with the implant and do all kinds of things with their computer. They made it feel like I could feel shocks. They were testing the leads, so I was able to feel the leads okay. But the two options were to go in and clean it or do a replacement to a non-rechargeable implant. And like I said this, to the doctor, it's not that major. It's not, it's annoying a little bit, but it's nothing major. He said, really, that's really the two options you have. And he said, well, we can submit the information request to the insurance. We can submit both requests to the insurance company and see what they want to do. Basically, what they put down is charging problems. I don't know if that means a defective unit or it's just not connecting due to scar tissue. I don't know about that part. And the pain management doctor said they may come back and ask you to do a CT scan to see what they want to do, and would call you if they require that. And I didn't expect nothing really out of the insurance company. I expected denial and all this and all that. And yesterday, got a call from the Abbott guy, and as well as the pain management doctor yesterday afternoon. And Blue Cross Blue Shield did approve a replacement implant. And I said, and they have it booked out on October the 1st if I want to do it. They have it on the books for me to be converted from a rechargeable implant to a non-rechargeable implant. So I'm kind of leaning yes to go ahead and get it replaced at this time and juncture. I gotta look at it this way too. My insurance company's paying 100% for this. I already met my pocket this year, so there won't be no cost to me. However, I had to be off of work for 2 or 3 weeks, so that's the only problem there. But I do have short-term disability as well as paid time off, so that will cover that out of pocket. And the doctor said that the scar tissue issue could get worse over time. It could get to the point they may not fully connect very well. I mean, that could be like a year away, year's time, or it could be just this way forever. And they did. The Abbott guy did tell me that they do have a model similar to the one I have, which is just the only difference is just non-rechargeable, which it can last between 3 to 6 years, maybe 7. The only thing I just worry about, and I know this is just really nonsense, but the only thing I really worry about is if it's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it just means the battery will go dead faster. It won't last as long as the rechargeable implant. Because I thought about that when I got this. I told them I want one that will last 7 to 10 years because you also need to think about the cost of it down the road. Well, we all know because this Obamacare shit is all a disaster. Everybody's deductibles and co-insurance just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. 5 years from now, everybody might have a $10,000 deductible. You know what I'm saying? So that's nothing I got to think about. But I'm kind of leaning towards yes. Let's go ahead and get it replaced now. It's covered at 100%. Blue Cross Blue Shield still in business as of this year. Thank God. But I was really not expecting it to be approved. I thought they were going to fight it tooth and nail, but they approved it because I looked online as well because Blue Cross Blue Shield has a thing online with, when you log in, you can read your HMO referrals and as well as your pre-authorizations. And they approved it. Oh, get this shit. This year, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I guess they require pre-authorization for injections now. What kind of shit is that? And by the way, it's outsourced to a some place in South Carolina. It's not even here in Texas who does those type of pre-authorizations. They outsourced it. Blue Cross Blue Shield, they want to do pre-authorizations for everything and everything and everything, imaging and all that bullshit. And really, you know, the more I think about that, I didn't wonder if anybody has sued an insurance company arguing that they're not in the business of practicing medicine. Because that's what insurance companies are doing nowadays. They're practicing medicine because they're telling that doctor or whoever what's going to be covered, what's not covered, what steps the doctor and patient has to jump through before anything's covered nowadays. So, yeah, it's on the books for October the 1st, and have to be there at noon, and they can go ahead and switch it out. The leads will be, they will leave the leads in, because they work okay. So, you know, it's just, the leads connect to the implant. It'd be the same size of the implant. It'd be the same size as the trial unit, which the trial unit's taped to your back. And I have to, you know, also remember, no lifting or bending for 6 weeks after surgery. So, you know, one hand, it's nothing major. You know, it's still charging. It still works okay. Just, you know, put pressure. But will it get worse over time? You know what I'm saying? Or will I like the non-rechargeable much better, and I don't have to worry about charging? You know, both, you know, got to think about that. But like I said, I am leaning towards a replacement. Like I said, the implant itself, there's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly fine. It's just when it comes to charging, because it's scar tissue. Because, like I said, I had back surgery before this. You know, before this. Something to think about. Of course, you know, I have you know, more than half a month to think about this. So, if you do have any questions, comments, please post them below, and talk to y'all later.